Okay, YouTube. Paul Bates here. Chief.
Pete Bates.
How are you guys doing today? Anyway, last week we talked about driving other people's boats, and today we're going to talk about driving other people's boats in bad weather.
Ruh-roh.
We don't ever really talk about these types of things. We always talk about the boat market and stuff like that, but today I really want to concentrate and tell you guys what it's like to be out there in a 40-knot gale. That's what this video is all about. Because I work at Little Palm, and I drive the crew boat, or not the crew, the guest boat, from the shore station over to the island every night. So I've gotten into some storms, and then me and Pete have taken Southern State. We've had it in a few.
Yeah, I got a quick story for you.
We've had it in two things that I remember. Going over to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And the one crossing coming from.
Oh yeah. I wasn't on the boat that day. I was driving.
Yeah, you were on Rich's 36 Grand
yeah,
Banks.
I was watching the boat do this, and then you didn't see it anymore. And
Yeah.
then you come back up. It's like, holy that's a lot of boat to be going down like that.
Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today. And then next week, I'm going to get back into the boating market. We did do a survey on Southern State. Special thanks to Mike and Harold for helping me. We got the boat over to the yard. We got it pulled out. Everything went really well with it. And then so we had to have an insurance survey so we had to have an out of the water survey to get insurance on the boat if we wanted full coverage. And I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm going to price it and see, but I can't do anything without that survey. And the boat's never been surveyed
in a long time.
Yeah, since we've owned it or anything like that. So it's time to survey it because we are going to put it on the market here in the next within the next 6 months, probably a year, maybe. If I sell it this year, I want to do it before the insurance is due, so I would like to put it on the market officially by like April 1st, something like that.
Yeah.
If we can get it ready, because I got to do the air conditioner, the bottom job, and then there was a few things that showed up on the survey. I got to move a battery bank, and I've got to put a propane switch in, a couple minor things like that. But the hull tapped out perfect, not one blister on it, Chief.
Yeah. When I did it, I've got plenty of time underneath there. It was just amazing, the shape of the bottom of the boat.
Yeah.
And I thought that it's been in the water now for 3 years.
Yeah, about 3 years.
Well, I thought for sure there would be one blister, but not even a blister still to this day. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is to have a hull like that. And then even the surveyor was in kind of all. I mean, there was a lot of issues, nothing major though, and and a lot of it we can take care of by just routine maintenance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then some of the stuff like the propane switch. I mean, the old man just didn't have one in here. We just got to add it in there. That's new statutes, and then put all new fire extinguishers, flares, and all that stuff. But I did the fire extinguishers and everything already. Anyway, this week I really want to talk about driving a boat in bad weather, because it's not what you might think. And why do we do it? Well, out at the island. Chief knows this. I go no matter what.
He
Today,
doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. I mean, you have 100 people out on the island at one time, and 50 employees, and then you can have up to 60 guests on there. And you got to move on and off the island. We run the shore station on the half an hour, and on the island on the hour. We typically run till 10, 11 o'clock at night. My shift is from 3 in the afternoon, basically, till 3 o'clock in the morning is what we have to cover.
Yeah.
And so I've had the privilege of being out there, especially, remember about 6 weeks ago, we had
brutal.
Yeah, we had a gale out there, and the first run was all right. I got a little video of it. The boat was just taking water. We were just taking water over the top of the boat. And surprisingly enough, the first run, it was bad. The second run, it just kept getting better and better because you get more adjusted. You know how to handle the boat. You know the angle of attack to come into the dock.
Yeah.
What happened on that particular night is the tide raised so high, it bring the boat up. Usually I'm protected in my little where I back it into the shore station, but I lost all that protection because the tide came so high and the wind came ripping over the top.
Wow.
Yeah, and it really messed up the boat. But here's the deal. When you're out here driving the boat and you're in these type of conditions, which you would never, in any circumstance, you would never take like Southern State out intentionally in those kind of conditions. And so it's like I don't want to say it's a privilege, but it is, a I do get to drive the boats in those type of conditions, and it's I don't say it's a requirement of the job because we can stop anytime. We as the captain have the choice to say, hey, it's too rough, we're not running. But it's usually just an hour or so where something blows over or something like that. And so we can do that, but I think I've done it one time for there was a twister in there and I just waited like 45 minutes to go.
Oh.
But typically we go. It's very, very rare that we shut it down.
Yeah, and I do want to say one thing. When me and Paul first started, well, Paul's been out on the water a little longer than me, but I've been on and off. So when you very first start, you always look for the perfect weather window, but the more you're on the water and the more you do, the more you're willing to accept. The stuff doesn't bother us now that would bother most people. Me and Paul can handle more than what the average person can, because we after a while you get used to it, you know the boat, you know. And I just want to say this: when we went to the Bahamas, we got caught. Half of it was great, and the other half, the second half, the weather got way out of any kind of comfort zone. And you just have to deal with it. That's why I tell people, if you're going to use the boat and it's going to move, you're going to hit bad weather at some point. And I took a fall out there. And I'm thinking, there's no Coast Guard, there's nothing, there's no hospital, there's nothing to save you. So you have to really pay attention. You have to be careful. And I was really
especially
nervous.
on the offshore stuff.
Yeah, on the offshore stuff. But
another thing, this is just a tip for you guys. One thing that we do is we prep the boat before we go. Like all the furniture gets tied in.
yeah,
All the cabinet doors get taped shut.
and never assume anything.
Just tape it all shut.
Yeah,
I don't care if you're in a Nordhaven or whatever. Just tape all your doors shut, because when stuff starts flying around in there,
it starts going bad. It doesn't get better.
It doesn't get easier for you, and it's too late when you get out there and caught in something, and you can't do it. It's better to just if you're going offshore.
Now, he's not talking about intercoastal, by the way. Yeah.
Dude, I got tossed around in the intercoastal
Yeah,
plenty.
but-
That's just usually one boat wake. Some asshole come by and throws a big ass wake and really bounces, throws everything everywhere.
Yeah.
But typically, we're talking about when you're out there in the ocean and you're bobbing up and down. It gets brutal real fast,
Yeah.
and then once the boat starts to lose its I don't want to say pitch or something, but once you get settled into what the conditions are, you really don't want to be moving around. That's the worst thing you can do, because like Pete, he was moving around.
A gas tank came loose. And
yeah.
I had to go retie it in. Now we had it tied in,
But it wasn't tied in good enough.
enough.
When then he's got to get up. Now he puts himself in danger. And the whole key is he probably didn't have to. We should have just had it better secured.
Yeah.
And we just a learning lesson for both of us.
Yeah.
But again, all the drawers are taped shut. I mean, I've walked into this cabin before. One time, I think it's happened to me, where this couch got flipped over. Everything was flipped over in here.
It must have been that day that
I think it was Erie with me, you, and Bev. That it was.
Oh yeah.
That was a brutal day.
And I'll tell you what, when he says that too, that was up in the Great Lakes. We didn't have a choice, man. You could sit there and wait for the rest of your life, or you could just go and deal with it. And,
No, remember? I think we turned around that day. That's the day, and we had to turn the boat
oh, we
around.
put our nose out there. And
Yeah, we turned the boat around.
Ruh-roh!
Hey, when the props are coming out of the water, that's time to turn around.
Yeah, but that being said, I don't think we had an easy crossing there anyway, because
No.
we couldn't catch a
We
break.
couldn't get to break on Erie, but remember
Yeah.
we pulled into Erie City. That wasn't bad that day. The next day wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And then we left Erie City, and we weren't going to go as far. We were going to go to Putin or something like that.
Yeah.
We ended up going further, and as the day kept progressing, we kept calling. Nobody. That's the problem with when you're looping with a 50-foot boat. You're limited. Some of these marinas can't accommodate you.
Yeah.
So we called Putin. They didn't have nothing for us. We called a couple different marinas. Nobody had nothing for us.
Yeah.
And we had to keep going, and the weather kept getting worse and worse and worse.
And then the only thing you don't want to hear on the radio is pong, pong, pong. Remember the sailboat? It's a sailboat! Guys out there, I guess he got nervous. But he had to be rescued.
Yeah. So the difference between a mayday and a pan-pan. When you issue a pan-pan, letting the Coast Guard know you're in trouble and you want an assistant. A Mayday is you require assistant. You're going to have the Coast Guard. Somebody's got to come out and help you and rescue you.
And for the record, I know this for a fact. The weather can be so bad that the Coast Guard will say that we are not going to come out to get you until until the weather clears up.
Hey, real quick. This is a real quick this is a quick story. This is a Mayday. This is how we learned how to sail on a sailboat. We bought the sailboat, knew nothing about it. It was 25-foot Catalina. We get out to Lake Mead, and we take a sail across the lake. We had one of our employees with us. Me and Pete owned a cabinet shop back then. We had our Mayday Malone. That's what his name was.
His nickname
Malone.
ended up being.
Anyway, we sail all the way across the lake. We're coming back. Just before we get back into the marina, the wind picked up to 75 miles an hour. And the only reason I know that is because I went onto the weather service after we got back and everything settled down. But the mast of the boat went completely over, hit the water.
And we didn't know that it's called a knockdown, and we didn't know that sailboats will self-correct. We don't know what the hell
So
we're doing.
Mayday's down in the thing saying, Mayday, Mayday.
He's reading off this thing.
Those two are down below. Mayday's reading off the card there to the Coast Guard saying, Mayday, Mayday. And you know what the Coast Guard came back and said, is any life in danger? And he goes, no, not at this time. And I told him not to make it. I think we were fine.
I was fine. I didn't want to make it either. But
Mayday made it. He thought his life was threatened. But nobody was hurt. They were asking, like, is somebody having a heart attack? Is somebody hurt? Anything like that. And the answer to the question was no. So when he said that, then the Coast Guard says that it's too windy and it's too rough and we cannot send help.
That actually happened.
So that was many, many years ago. Man, that was 40 years. Yeah. Yeah, we were about we were about 30 years. So 30 years ago, we were about 30 years old when all that happened. But anyway, that was a learning curve. That was the day we learned to sail.
Yeah.
It was definitely a learning curve.
I remember I had to get the sail down.
Yeah.
Paul said, "Oh, we're dead."
I remember coming and everybody says it's impossible what we did, but we had the whole main up. That's what knocked us over.
Yeah, we should have been reefed.
Yeah,
of course we know that now.
Yeah,
we should have been on the third reef, just having a little.
Yeah, we should have had a little diaper up there, and we would have been fine. It was so rough that the engine was coming out of the water and it overheated, and that's what killed the engine. So then once we lost the engine, we were done. The engine couldn't even push it. 75 knots of wind. That's serious.
Yeah.
So we have been out there, and then remember the houseboat. Were you with me on that when the houseboat got in that storm and we had to? That was miserable, and we almost lost it into the rocks. Vince was there. Everybody else was there.
Yeah, I think I was.
Anyway, we were all out barbecuing, having a good time, and the wind kept picking up and kept picking up. And I remember Bev running out there yelling, "Hey, don't you think we should tie something down, or shouldn't we do something here?" And sure enough, man, all hell breaks loose about it. Some guy cut his line, I remember. Once he cut that line, all hell broke loose. I went to go start my boat because I needed to full throttle it onto I had a 50-foot houseboat at the time, and I needed to full throttle it onto the beach. And the boat wouldn't start. You know, everything that could go wrong went wrong. I almost lost the houseboat on that particular one too. Yeah. So we have been out there in some pretty rough stuff. We've been out there in some really decent storms. And you're going to get caught in it.
In California, we were in those 20-foot seas, but that was controlled.
Those were
seas.
swells.
Yeah,
It's a little bit different. That's when you lost your.
Yeah.
I'll tell you Pete's seasickness. Him and my son one day. I'll tell you guys the story because it's actually a pretty funny story too. But anyway, we just want to talk about it because if you're out there and you get stuck in something, being prepared before you get out there, like taping all your cabinet doors shut, making sure everything is tied down and secured, and do that anytime. If you're leaving the intercoastal, you should automatically be doing that. If you do that and you have that mindset every single time you go off, your ride, even if it's uncomfortable, your body will adapt and you will adapt.
Yeah.
You may want to sell the boat when you get wherever you're going. But you'll be fine.
Yeah,
and your boat can do a lot more than you can do.
Oh yeah, the boat is not the issue. It does wear you out. I'm not gonna lie. After you've been in it for 6 hours, you're just like you're ready to get to calm water. I promise.
Yeah, you're done. You get to even those nights on. I think your adrenaline's pumping, everything's going.
Yeah.
but I don't even get spooked. I do get like the first couple dockings, then after that you really start to settle down and tame down and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's not easy out there. Nothing's easy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But and boating's not. This is not an easy sport. It's or a hobby or whatever you want to call it. And it does. You need to respect Mother Nature. You need to respect your boat. Your boat needs to be ready to go out in those types of conditions, and things like that. Anyway, guys, peace out. I hope you enjoyed this week's video with Pete here talking about the old days and
Yeah.
some of the stuff that's happened to us. And then next week, again, we'll get back into why we did a survey on the boat and what was found in the survey. So maybe it'll help some of you guys, especially you guys trying to sell your boats, what they're looking for and stuff like that. Because I kind of knew the battery situation. And I didn't know how he had it properly vented, but it's not the batteries. We have some lead acid batteries that are in a compartment that aren't. It's not vented properly, so we need to move those batteries out of that compartment into this compartment, into the engine room where there is ventilation in there. That was one of the big ticket items, and then another big ticket items is our propane. We don't have we need a shut off, an auto shut off switch to shut the propane off in the kitchen, and we don't have that.
Yeah.
So we got to add that. I looked at the kit last night. It's a couple $100. So anyway, we'll talk about that next week and what he found, and we'll talk a little bit more about Southern Estate and stuff like that. Anyway, peace out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. I'd like to see some super thanks this week. Anybody out there, getting some content out of this value out of this content, you go ahead and hit that super thanks. Haven't had one in a long time. I haven't been pushing them though. I don't ask. So
Yeah.
if you don't ask, you don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then thanks Bill, thanks Harold, thanks Mike, all you guys make the channel possible. We do appreciate it. Anyway, peace out. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
guys. Have a good one.